questions from friends and from clients, and there's a lot of this feeling of being bombarded, or this feeling of having to deal with heavy energy, and kind of a non-localized sense of anxiety. And of course, we've mentioned this on previous calls, and we've talked about this energy of suppression or oppression that has to come forward in order to catalyze the soul, in order to kind of give the soul something to get out of complacency and rise up, especially the human spirit itself, to rise up. We often need this opposing force. And Spirit has taught me since I was 12 years old that the greater than all things, the only thing that can encompass all things, is that of the Christos, or that of Christ consciousness. And when I was 12 at summer camp, that was the first time it was downloaded into me that the Bible is actually a codex, and many of these what we might call religious texts or spiritual texts are actually activations and codices, that when we have the eyes to see and ears to hear, when the heart is ready to be opened, we are able to actually receive that knowledge, to receive that wisdom that already lives within us. It's just that it's waking up. It's kind of reached the point in our linear time-space continuum where it is meeting with our higher self, or meeting with our greater soul. And so once we start to embody that energy individually, we begin to come up against this frequency of oppression, this frequency of suppression. And what's happening right now is we're experiencing that collectively. So it's no longer an individual path to Christ consciousness. We're now on a collective path of Christ consciousness. And another name for Christ consciousness could be the I am presence, or source awareness, the human form being able to hold its divinity. Yeshua Christ is often known for saying, I am the way, the truth, and the light, and no one gets to the Father except through me. And I think that it's been distorted to have people believe that this is a person, when in fact this is a consciousness, that it's an I am presence, that is the way, the truth, and the light. And so we're going to talk tonight from some practical perspectives about what that energy looks like. I'm also going to allow a lot of time for discussion, because I know there is a lot here to sift through. So I'm going to, be pausing and allowing space for that throughout. But wanting to talk about what is the Antichrist, or what is this living thought form that consists of all the shadow archetypes and emanations or expressions of the Christos, and why do we have to come up against this force in order to actually embody the Christ essence itself?
I can tell you why.
Please enlighten us.
Because absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so if you're going to be gifted your divine capacities, we have to know absolutely sure full well that you understand first what they are, but also that you understand the law of karmic, repercussions and karmic will. And so with great responsibility, I forgot where I was going with that. There's another little slogan: with great power comes great responsibility. And it's kind of like one of those things where you don't really ever find someone who has immense spiritual capacity, who hasn't also had to take a walk on their dark side so that they can, I don't want to say master the aspects of themselves, but at least integrate what it is that they've encountered, do that way. When they encounter the world's shadow, the shadow work for the world, they're not going to just shrivel up and succumb to fear.
100%. Yeah. You have to experience that full separation from God in order to actually have true faith. It's like the original faith is not enough. It's broken. You become the void, and then you have to rebuild your own light structure, based on your personal connection to that sourced essence. And it's definitely not for the faint of heart, because like you said, you will be confronting every fear, every, what you want to call, demonic presence, everything that is distorted in the name of your alignment to your own soul and to source.
I was just going to mention too here that when you start walking down this path and you start asking to have connection to your higher gifts and your higher aspects, that there is a unknown or unrealized contract or karmic contract that has to do with your family, has to do with your lineage, has to do with your country, has to do with this location and the region you live in. And so you're not just asking for your own, you're asking for the what we sometimes refer to as the whole kit and caboodle. And just the idea or the free will choice to be on the call tonight and hold space for such subjects means that you are asking to deal with these aspects of yourself, or I'm not sure, does it pay to put a label on it, or you say it's like your shadow self or your karmic ignorance, or I don't know what else to, it's probably a great Buddhic word.
All of those things. Yeah. Especially when we make a declaration or a devotion to our own Christ consciousness within ourselves, we're definitely activating that path where you might experience the law of opposites, where everything that is the opposite of what you desire, starts coming up in your path to say, how bad, do you really want this? Because your caliber of soul will be tested throughout this. And there are people that definitely, don't make it through the fire for many, many different reasons. And we talk about the Antichrist being the greatest guardian of the Christos spirit. And that's because you have to have faced that. You have to have confronted that and embraced it fully in a neutral, compassionate state to actually be able to be the living, radiant presence here in physical form.